Today we're talking about money again. So this weekend, the New York Times published Are You the Only One Who's Broke by Emma Goldberg, and today The Cut published Are We All Just Living Beyond Our Means Now by Claire Lampin. It's interesting that as we enter this period of economic anxiety, we're seeing both of these articles come out at exactly the same time, right? Where we're having more and more of these conversations about like what it means to be worried about how much money you make and how much money other people make. And like New York Times was especially interesting to me as a millennial and as someone who like has grown up with social media the way a lot of us have, where it seems like the perception of like other people having money or being able to perceive that other people have more money than you is like making people crazy. Whereas Are We Just Living Beyond Our Means Now is a more researched look at like all of the conditions that have brought us here, right? It's all the stuff that we're always talking about, right? Where millennials are the first generation to like not be able to buy a home and all of the jobs are gone and everything's getting harder and harder and more expensive. What's especially interesting to me sociologically is that obviously I wasn't 30 in the 90s, I'm 30 now. There is something about the rise of social media and like seeing other people live their lives that is especially damaging to the brain, right? And we've seen like whiffs of this when it comes to like plastic surgery and body and like all of that stuff. And that obviously is a different conversation. But I think for this, it's especially interesting because it's hitting us in a way that we've like never really seen before. I famously grew up here in New York City, where the city is very economically stratified, right? Like block by block, every single block has a very rigid demarcation of like how much money everyone makes. And like knowing what neighborhood people live in gives you a very clear indication of how much money they make, or now with like rich parents and stuff. But the point that I'm getting at is that growing up in New York, it is very obvious and clear. Like I grew up in the Bronx, right? Like very, very different from like this. But like it is very clear that some people are just rich, right? There wasn't this like intense economic anxiety because I come from an immigrant background. So it's like everyone is focused on surviving, everyone is focused on working, everyone is hustling, right? There wasn't this like intense competition. There wasn't this keeping up with the Joneses thing. We were just like trying to make it in the first place. We weren't worried about like going to Tulum for bachelorette parties and like all of this other stuff that this article is talking about. Again, what's interesting to me sociologically is that I think social media has created this sort of portal or window into other people's lives that doesn't necessarily explain why this like rise of envy or money dysphoria is being created, where it's like, and this is where it gets a little spooky, be careful, don't get mad at me. The idea was that some people had normal jobs and like had normal lives and some people didn't, right? So like if you were a barista or a teacher or a librarian, and obviously I'm not throwing shade at any of those. I know many, many people who are baristas and librarians and teachers and I love them all. But like the expectation wasn't that you were gonna make $400,000 a year and like get married in Capri and like have a mansion and like drive 17 cars. You know what I mean? Like the expectation was that you would live like a normal life. But knowing that other people have more money than you isn't like treated as just like a fact of life, right? Like we are having this conversation over and over again when it comes to the Nepo babies, right? When it comes to the article in The Cut a couple of weeks ago, like everyone is subsidized by their parents in this city. And like it's interesting, again, psychologically and sociologically, because to me, it was just like a fact of life that some people are rich, right? The same way, because I'm an immigrant, because I'm a person of color, because I have all of these, I'm queer, I have all of these life experiences that have marked me as an outsider. I never like assumed that all of these things were like meant to be mine. And it seems like this very American conception of like, oh, other people are rich. Why am I not rich? Or like now we're seeing this really intense sort of class resentment or class rage, right? And obviously, this isn't the first time that it's happened. We saw it in the French Revolution. We've seen it happen in like the UK. But at the same time, it is especially interesting that now it's being ratcheted up by like social media and like the ability to see what other people are doing, right? Before, we never had the ability to know that other people were like renting yachts and having mansions and like doing all of these fun, glamorous things. And now, as all of us are like careening into this impending economic collapse, it is very obvious that we are not in a good situation. And I'm smiling because I'm freaking the fuck out. But like, I am in the same boat as you guys, trust me. I think the only differentiator is that, again, I'm not saying I'm like special because I grew up in New York. I'm just saying that like it's always been very obvious to me that other people had more money than me and that had nothing to do with me, right? I didn't live my life being like, oh my God, this person is rich, I fucking hate them. I was just like, okay, like some people are rich. I think taken together, what the two articles are saying is that it is not only the ability to see what other people are doing and how much money other people are making, but it's also, in this article, the inability of us to like access these former things that were just normal, right? Like before you could be a teacher and like work at a very, very normal like electrician job and have a house and a car and like access the things that were sort of promised to you as an American or as just a person who worked a full-time job. And now as like rents are increasing and childcare has like skyrocketed and cars are more expensive and everything, insurance premiums, everything is exponentially higher and exponentially more expensive. It's creating this idea that like no matter how much you work and no matter what your job is, like yes, some people are rich, but it's also that we, like the working class, cannot access these things that were once just like a tenet, TNET, of just existing in this country and like working a full-time job. Like the fact that you can work 40 hours a week and not be able to afford an apartment in most major cities in this country is fucking crazy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments.